Eventually, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam tells his own camp, gather water in addition to the water that is needed for yourselves. Why? As the camp, as the army and the brigade of Hur followed, they had run out of their own water and been so thirsty, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam preempted this and gave each and every one of those members water to drink. Not just them, but even their horses as well. You can see that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam's way of ensuring people understood justice and the way in which he presented them with compassion is a legacy for us until today. We continue at this point. And in one of those stops, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam meets with an individual who is not directly part of either camp. He is neither directly with Imam, nor is he against him. Nor is he directly with the camp of Yazid, nor is he against him. But rather, this was someone well known to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam because of his previous practices. An individual by the name of Ubaidullah ibn Hur al-Ju'fi. A very famous incident where this individual is resting in these camps and Imam's camp comes to meet him. Imam actually goes himself to meet this individual and invites him to participate in the movement of Imam alongside Imam alayhi salam. This individual not only rejects Imam al-Hussein, he offers in its stead a very flimsy excuse and offers something else in the way of the Imam. Imam rejects that offer and then departs. Later on, this individual, Ubaidullah ibn Hur al-Ju'fi, composes poetry out of the shame that he felt, realizing that he lost the opportunity to be a timeless hero, someone guaranteed the ultimate reward of Jannah. What we want to do tonight, inshallah, is look at this conversation between this individual, Ubaidullah ibn Hur, and Imam alayhi salam, and extrapolate some very key lessons. Arguably, the most key lesson for me and you is that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was offered by him a different type of help, which we'll come to in a minute. Imam said to him, please come and join us. The man said no. He then offered a different type of help to Imam. Imam rejects this help. What is most important for us to understand is that we could also be in that sorry state where we offer something that we think is important to Imam's cause, but the Imam doesn't want that thing from us. It's not something that is legitimate in his eyes, not beneficial in his eyes. And as a result, we think, by our own standards of how we imagine what the Imam to want from us, we offer him some support and assistance. Imagine if Imam comes at the end of it and says, that's not the thing I asked from you. That's not the thing I wanted from you. All along you thought you were giving me something beneficial, but I didn't ask for this. The outcome for me and you would be the same as an individual like Ubaidullah ibn Hur al-Ju'fi. We would feel that pain and sorrow, that our focus and attention was on something that wasn't needed by Imam alayhi salam. And this is something we will go into tonight, inshallah. Please recite a salawat in honor of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. We continue to read from this incredible work from Medina to Karbala in the words of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, with the compiler Ayatollah Muhammad Sadiq Najmi, and available for you to purchase at Sun Behind the Cloud Publications. It was at Bani Muqatil This is one of the stops just outside Karbala. It was at Bani Muqatil that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was informed that an individual, Ubaidullah bin Hur al-Ju'fi, was residing at the same place. At first, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam dispatched al-Hajjaj bin Masruq towards him. Al-Hajjaj said to Ubaidullah bin Hur that he had brought a valuable gift for him, and he hoped he would accept this gift. By this, he meant that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam had arrived at the same place that he was at and called upon him. Hence, it was time to join the caravan of success, and this was the great gift that was being offered to Ubaidullah ibn Hur. If Ubaidullah would fight together with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he would enjoy ample merits and virtues, and if he was martyred, he would attain the great station of martyrdom. In response to this statement, Ubaidullah told Al-Hajjaj that he had seen a large crowd of people who were getting ready to fight Imam al-Hussein and his followers. He continued that he was sure that Imam al-Hussein would be defeated by this large number, and that he would not support Imam al-Hussein, and preferred to avoid this conflict. Hajjaj, when he got back to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, conveyed Ubaidullah's answer to him. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam left his own tent and went to the tent of Ubaidullah himself. Imagine, it's one thing being sent the representative of the Imam, and me rejecting the representative of the Imam. Imam himself comes to get my hand. This is the extent by which he wanted the support of this individual, Ubaidullah. When Hajjaj got back to the tent, he conveyed to him his response. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam himself went to his tent. Ubaidullah welcomed Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. They began to talk, and one of the things that Ubaidullah said was that he praised the handsomeness, the noor on the face of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And he actually inquired to him about the color of his beard. In reply, Imam said that he had become too old too early, meaning that the black beard that you see is dyed. It's something that's taken on the dye color. Think about this very carefully. In the best of ways, Imam has sent his representative. You said no. Imam then comes to you. You know what Imam wants to talk to you about, and instead you talk to him in small talk. What color is your beard? How old have you become? When was your birthday? Is this the conversation Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam has come to your tent for? Subhanallah, how many of us, we don't know how to speak to the Imam of our time. We haven't thought about how we address him, how we engage him, and make sure that he engages us. After some initial conversation, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam addressed him as mentioned. What does he say? Imam al-Hussein says this. O Ibn Hur, indeed the inhabitants of your city Kufa wrote to me that they were united to help me and requested me to come to them. But the reality of the situation is actually the reverse of what they had expressed. And you, this is very important, and you, Ubaidullah ibn Hur, have committed many sins in your life. Wouldn't you like to have the opportunity of complete purification? Wouldn't you like to nullify all the things that you have done in your life through your movement with me? Now what happens is, at this point, Ubaydullah responded with the following statement. I swear by Allah, I do know that whoever follows you, they will certainly attain eternal success. However, I do not think that my help would be of benefit to you. For I have noticed that anybody from Kufa is actually determined. I have not noticed anyone from Kufa that is really determined to help you. Meaning you're on your own. If I come and assist you, all that will happen is that I will end up being killed alongside you. How can this be of benefit if I am killed alongside you, O Hussein? I swear by Allah, I ask you to exempt me from helping you because I am very much afraid of death and I do not want to be killed. I prefer to live. However, I offer you my horse al-mulhaqa. I swear I have not pursued any enemy on the back of this horse, but that my horse was so fast that it caught the enemy. And never have I been trying to escape an enemy, but that the horse has helped me to outrun the enemy that has been chasing me. Let me give you my horse instead of me. Just think about what he has said. I know that I will receive eternal salvation if I support you. But the problem is, others are not supporting you. We will just be killed, and I am afraid of death. Instead, take my horse. It's like me and you saying, the Imam comes to me in my house and says, I want you to support me, and I say, here are my car keys. Never have I had to chase someone or race someone, and I've not won the race. Never have I had to escape the police, and my car has failed me. In case you need to escape the police, O Hussein, O Mahdi, here's my car keys. It's the equivalent of saying that. How do you think Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam responded? He responds by saying, if you wish to turn away from us, we no longer need you, and we no longer need your horse. He rejected the offer not only of the help from directly this man anymore. We don't want it. That's the end of it. If you refused, don't participate. And even the thing that you offer that you think I'm going to benefit from, we don't want it. We're not going to even accept your horse. Why? I would not take as helpers those who seek to lead people astray. And just as you have advised me, O Ubaydullah, I do advise you as well. And my advice is this. If you can take refuge from as far away a place as this, so that you don't hear us cry out for help, because I swear by Allah, nobody hears our cry for help and abstains from helping us, except that Allah will throw them face first into Jahannam. Get away from here as far as you can. Don't hear my cry, Hal min nasirin yansurni. Because if you hear it and you don't respond to it, Allah will throw you into Jahannam. This story is such a deep and profound story that it requires us to be able to unpack it and have some reflections on what it means for you and I in the context in which we live in as well. And inshallah, we want to mention maybe 4 points of analysis that help us to be able to break down this story and try to make sure that we never, na'udhu billah, fall into the trap of becoming like the Ubaydullah ibn Hur of the time. Number 1, this story is not the only time when Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam has mentioned that if you do not respond to my call, there is hellfire for you. You see, in the ziyarat, we mention that may Allah's curse be upon the one who was pleased with the killing of Imam al-Hussein, correct? فَلَعَنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً سَمِعَتْ بِذَلِكَ وَرَضِيَتْ بِهِ. Curse be upon that ummah and those people that heard about what happened to Imam and were pleased with it. They were okay with it. And you've heard, and I mentioned on a previous night, why they were pleased with it. They thought that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was baghi, a rebel, na'udhu billah. But then Imam in his hadith takes this a step further. He says, if you hear my call for aid and you don't respond, then the curse also falls upon you. And specifically, Allah throws you into the hellfire. Imagine we hear the call of the Imam of our time. We don't know exactly how he will ask for help. He might send his representative to our house the same way Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam sent his representative into the tent of Ubaydullah ibn Hur. We have to be prepared for that potential to happen. It could be that tomorrow there is a televised address from the Imam. It could be that it reaches us on our phones. We don't know how the call of the Imam comes. You can't say that just because he doesn't directly say to me, or I don't hear him directly one-to-one, that I don't know his call for me. We don't realize that his global movement will reach global ears. We have to be prepared for that moment when Imam calls us. There cannot be the same sort of response. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam said this in a few places across the movement of Karbala. Listen to this. There was one individual by the name of Harthama. He was an agent on behalf of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam meets this individual, and then he asks him a very simple question. He says, are you with us or are you against us? Just that question. Are you with us or are you against us? The individual responded by saying, we are neither with you nor against you. To which Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam asked for his help. And he refuses. Look at the question. Are you with us or are you against us? He doesn't ask him, are you Sunni or are you Shia? He doesn't say, do you pray your salah or do you go for Hajj? He doesn't say, are you white or brown or black? He doesn't ask him his nationality. The way in which me and you imagine that the right and wrong fall between these spaces. He simply asks, are you with us or are you against us? In your heart, where do you stand? And how does that translate to your action? I'm not interested in your madhab. I'm not interested in your background. I'm not interested in your gender. I want to know, are you with me or not? That's it. Whereas someone like me, I judge based on the name of an individual, based on the madhab of an individual, based on the color of an individual. Right now, there are hundreds of thousands of non-Muslims fighting every day for justice, maybe harder than I've ever imagined myself. Do you remember only a couple of weeks ago we saw those videos of non-Muslims standing in front of soldiers, Egyptian soldiers at the Rafah crossing, crying their eyes out, saying there's a genocide that's happening to your people, Muslims, women and children. Do you not have a heart to let me in and deliver them aid? Subhanallah, Muslims stood there unmoved because the Taghi of the time told them not to and paid them their wages. But a non-Muslim wept for humanity in that moment. Are you with us or are you against us? The Muslim on that day was against Al-Hussein, but the white man, the non-Muslim standing there, by Allah, was with Hussein salamullahi alayhi. Are you with us or are you against us? Neither. I'm just doing my job, he said, literally. Harthama said, I'm just an agent. It's my pay. I'm not with him, I'm not against you. I'm just doing my work. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam gave him the same advice that he gave to Ubaidullah ibn Hur in this story. He says, my one thing I want to tell you, go as far away from me as possible, because if you hear my call and you don't respond, Allah will throw you into the pits of fire. Why do I say this to you? To connect these stories, for us to understand that this is something that is mentioned over and over and over again within the books of tradition. For us to understand that when the Imam of our time comes, that we are in exactly the same space. It doesn't allow us to be able to say, I'm impartial at that moment. The response to Imam comes immediately that we are there to serve him. This is the first point. The second point of analysis helps us to think about how Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was offered something and then rejected that offer. Look at what was offered. The fastest horse. Ubaidullah ibn Hur said, I've always caught up with my enemy, and I've never been outpaced by the enemy's horse. This is the fastest horse. And if you understand what he's trying to say, he thinks he's offering something of value to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, doesn't he? Look at the context. What does he say? I'm afraid of death, and I fear that you will be killed. No one from Kufa is really going to stand with you when test comes, when push comes to shove. You will be chased down. So let me at least give you something that helps you to escape the battlefield. Never has this horse been outrun. So one can not empathize, but at least try to understand the context by which Ubaidullah's response is. At least if I am unwilling to help you directly by the way in which you asked, let me at least give you something that helps you to escape so that your life may be maintained. One then might again think that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam would be grateful for this. Or even you might imagine that anyone who offers anything in the way of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he should have been grateful. What happens if Ubaidullah had unsheathed his sword and said, this is the best sword known to man. Take this. You can kill many of the enemy. Shouldn't Imam have accepted it? Here, take this money. Do good with it. You can help orphans. Shouldn't Imam have accepted it? Normally, you and me would think that this is something that the Imam would accept. By Allah, he would not have accepted any of it. Why? Imam says in the statement, I don't accept something from someone who actually desires to lead people astray. How so? How does this lead people astray? Because if Imam had accepted that offer of that horse, it would have set the precedent that that's the level by which we can offer Imam service, and he's willing to accept it from us. all of us could then have climbed down and down and down and justified to ourselves that let me give something in the way of Imam and he will find it acceptable to us. He didn't. He outright rejected it and said, in fact, you're seeking to beguile people like this. Tomorrow you will go and tell the story and you'll be boastful. You'll say, I helped Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. I gave him the fastest horse in the land in order to escape his enemies. Everybody would have patted him on the back. MashaAllah alayhi. Ubaidullah ibn Hur, what a champion of Hussein you were. You are a true supporter of Imam al-Hussein. People's bar would have been lowered and lowered and lowered, and then everyone could have given every excuse throughout history. Imam was not asking for that help. What did he ask for? I want your body, I want yourself. That's what I'm asking for. Nothing short of that is acceptable to me. And the fact that you offer me not that, but something else, whatever else you offer me, it's nothing that I want from you. Subhanallah. How many of us, when the Imam comes, will offer something else in exchange and hope that it suffices? It doesn't mean that when the Imam comes, we can't offer him different types of support. No. But he's actually asking for me and you, first and foremost. 100% commitment to the cause. Not 80% commitment, not 40% commitment, not my bank account and then nothing else. Not my Twitter feed and nothing else. Imam doesn't care if you have 30,000 followers and you're going to be able to share that. Imam at that point is trying to raise humanity to its pinnacle. Every single person is needed to be able to defeat the Yazids of the time. And every time someone leaves, it means the same thing as it meant 1400 years ago. It means those people that are so easily bought said, I don't want death. I'm not ready. I don't want to give my all for Imam. Where did each and every one of them end up? They ended up being the ones who killed Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. This is why it's not in between. It's an either or. Because the moment I climb down from either, I end up in or. The moment I climb down on this side, it's easy to sway me onto the other side. Imam is saying, don't climb down 1% because the majority of people will be knocked down to 10%. And then it's easy to grab them. This is the logic of Imam. Now we have this challenge in our own selves. We have to really reflect on this for our own lives. Not only when Imam comes today. What happens if I am doing something that I think is in the name of Islam, is in the name of Imam, but is actually something that is not endorsed by the religion? It's something that the Imam himself doesn't want from us. And I continue to do it. We really have to reflect on this. Because there's many, many times that we find throughout our history that when we look backwards into it, we say to ourselves, why were we doing these things? Why did we justify and normalize these things in the name of Islam? And it could be that we want to give something in the name of Imam, but actually today Imam rejects that particular thing. Sometimes the way in which our cultures are, sometimes the way in which our communities are, it becomes so far separated from the principles of Islam that we act in a way that we think we are preserving Islam and Imam's movement, but it could be like Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, that actually the Imam is rejecting what we are offering to Imam. Our communities need to think deeply about these things. Even in my own lifetime, we have seen how far we have moved in certain directions, away from certain practices that we grew up thinking were norms in Islam, but actually through the education of the Maraja al-Kiram, we have come to learn that these things are not permitted, or things that actually are not beneficial for us in Islam. The outward cursing of some of the usurpers of Islam, thinking that we can break relations with other madhahib within Islam. When I grew up, these were norms. The way in which we treated certain names, we were completely oblivious to the realities of the faith. And that even Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam had prohibited us in some of these rituals and practices that we were doing. It only came with education. We thought we were doing things in the name of Islam, but actually we were in opposition to the qawl of Imam himself. Don't think that this is picking on any community or on any particular practice. This is something that has happened as we begin to have more depth and insight. We move away from things that are purely cultural, or things that we do because we do them as a community, and then we actually go back to our textual sources. We go back to what the Maraja al-Kiram have stated. Then we become much more aware of the things that we are doing. This is a story that I imagine all of you have heard. I imagine all of you have heard because it's so famous. But just in case anyone hasn't, and this is the first time that you're hearing it, really think about this story and the way in which we think we're doing something for Imam. But could it be that it's actually more off-putting to Imam's message, or contradictory to Imam's message? Na'udhu billah. There's even a tape of this. If anyone wants it, I can just give it to you. Ask me afterwards, I will send you the tape of it. His Eminence, Ayatollah Shaheed Murtada Mutahhari, may Allah bless his soul. You all know the grand station of Shaheed Mutahhari. He mentions in the video that is recorded, he says that during the time of Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Hussein Burajaddi, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, the Grand Marja of the time, he said, in the days leading up to Ashura, the Marja called the leading figures of the area and invited them to have a discussion with him. These were the individuals, leaders of tribes, powerful individuals, sponsors of the Majlis, making sure that we have the entire Majlis to hand. Without them, we wouldn't have the Majlis. We wouldn't have the Azar. We wouldn't have the practices being enlivened without them. The Marja of the time calls them to this discussion a few days before Ashura. So maybe 6th of Muharram, 7th of Muharram, and day like this. Ayatollah Burajaddi asks them, to whom do you do taqleed of? And every one of them responds by saying to the noble Sayyid, you are Sayyid. We're doing taqleed of you. And then he began to list one by one the practices that they were doing and sponsoring in the name of Azadari of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, that were haram shar'an according to his Risala Amaliyah. This is haram, this is haram, this is haram, this is makruh, this gives us a bad image, this misinterprets. One by one. They were shocked. They hadn't realized, maybe it wasn't their fault, maybe they hadn't realized until now that the practices that they had been doing in the name of Imam were against the name of Imam. After they awoke to this, one person stood up and said to the noble Marja, Sayyid al-Burajaddi, said to him, Sayyidna, you are right. We do your taqleed. For 364 days of the year, we follow you. But on the day of Ashura, you follow us. We don't follow you on this day. We step out of your taqleed and we don't listen to your rulings on one day of the year, on the day of Ashura. We prefer to do whatever we want in the name of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Your rulings don't matter. Your knowledge of all the texts, the Quran, the ahadith, they don't matter. We want to do what we want to do in the name of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, irrespective of the damage it causes to Imam. Subhanallah. It's really tough, isn't it? To introspect and ask myself honestly, are my beliefs, are my actions actually in line with what Imam wants? Or am I thinking that this is what Imam wants? And even worse, am I then placing my act upon the Imam and forcing him, trying to force him to accept my actions? Isn't this the very point of Shi'ism? That there is an Imam Ma'soom who knows what Allah wants, what I'm going to be rewarded for and punished for. Isn't that the reason why me and you are Shia? So that we follow a person like that. What happens then when I want to be the one to tell Imam how to do Aza of Imam? What happens when I want to tell the Imam that this is how I follow your religion? It takes deep introspection and honesty. Otherwise, we become no different to Ubaydullah ibn Hur. Here's my horse, take it. Imam said, I don't want you and I don't want your horse. I think that in the name of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, I can do anything and everything. Who told you this? Who told you there are no rules when it comes to any act of Aza? Who told us this? Who said that in the love of Imam we can do whatever without any boundaries? Is there boundaries in everything else in deen? And all of a sudden when it comes to Aza, there are all of a sudden no boundaries? Is this logical to you? Does this make sense to you? Or are we being completely dishonest with ourselves when we say that in everything else there are rules and regulations and boundaries, but when it comes to Hubb al-Hussein, Aza al-Hussein, there are no rules and regulations? I don't want you and this action, the Imam might say. Open your Qur'ans to chapter number 4, ayah number 2. I want to show you some of the way the bases of religion and appreciate how maybe when it comes to the way we practice our religion, we have forgotten about the basics. What religion came with, how it was established, why it spread like wildfire. Why did people love this religion so much that in 23 years it expanded across the entirety from Yemen all the way to Syria and Iraq? Why? What was it that made the most backwards people in the history of humanity not only grasp this deen, but change their behaviors entirely? Because when there was a social ill, Islam intervened on it. It changed the lives of people. It made sense to people. People at large, irrespective of their color, their education, their culture, their background, wanted this deen. They didn't find it alien and scary to them. Surah An-Nisa, verse number 2. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وآتوا اليتامى أموالهم ولا تتبدلوا الخبيث بالطيب ولا تأكلوا أموالهم إلى أموالكم إنه كان حوبا كبيرا. And give to the orphan their property, and do not substitute worthless things for their good ones. Do not devour the property of the orphans, making it your own property. Surely this is a great, grievous crime. Look, at that time, it was the norm that when you were looking after someone, you guzzled up their wealth and kept it for yourself. What did you do? You exchanged it and gave others. You gave them things that were not worthy. SubhanAllah, it's the same with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Ubaidullah is offering something to the Imam that is not worthy of the Imam's movement. Don't exchange something that is actually khabith for tayyib. At that time, there were social ills. The Islam intervened on those social ills. It pulled up the mustada'afin, the downtrodden of society. And that's why the downtrodden of society wanted Islam for them. Turn, if you will, again in your Qur'ans to Surah An-Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 61. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ليس على الأعمى حرج ولا على الأعرج حرج ولا على المريض حرج ولا على أنفسكم أن تأكلوا من بيوتكم أو بيوت آبائكم أو بيوت أمهاتكم أو بيوت إخوانكم أو بيوت أخواتكم أو بيوت أعمامكم وبيوت عماتكم, and so on. There's no problem for you to eat from the houses of your parents or your siblings or your uncles and aunts, or your friends. Huh? What? There's no problem if you eat from the houses of your parents? Sure. I mean, isn't that quite obvious? You can go to your parents' house and eat? Yes? You can go to the house of your brother and sister and eat? You can go to your own houses and eat? Why does Allah need to bother telling you this? Like, no, really, this is revelation. It's deep. It's supposed to be for all time and space. Why would God bother to tell you there's no problem if you eat at the house of your parents? There's no problem if you eat at the house of your brothers and your sisters, or your uncles and your aunties. Why? At that time, there was no social norm of the proximity of family members. They were broken families. Their grudges and fights and arguments broke them in such a way that there was no love between them. They would even forbid one another from coming to their own houses to share a meal. There wasn't the normalcy of you being able to go into the houses of your own parents or your own siblings or your own uncles and aunties and enjoying a meal with them. This is how much the Arabs broke and had grudge with one another, and it continued on for generations. You know, when family members separate, what happens? Their children separate from their cousins. My father is upset with you, I have to be upset with you as well. Entire family units break down. This social ill was present. Islam intervened upon it in order to break those bad practices. Can you see what Islam was? Where do you see this type of Islam today? Open to the last ayah, same chapter, 24. Surah An-Nur, verse number 33. This ayah is incredible. It's mind-boggling. What me and you may think Revelation talks about, and then you actually read the Quran for yourself. It's mind-boggling the way the Quran addresses social ills at that time. What made the women of Mecca and Arabia beg for this religion, die for this religion, seek out this religion, nay, give their wealth and their children in the name of this religion. Halfway through the ayah, وَلَا تُكْرِهُ فَتَايَاتِكُمْ عَلَى الْبِغَاءِ إِنْ أَرَدْنَا تَحَسُّنًا لِتَبْتَغُوا عَرَضَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Do not compel your women into prostitution. They desire to keep pure. Why do you do this? In order to make a little bit of profit from these people? Think about that. 1400 years ago, when the Quran was revealed, it was the norm amongst Arabs that they would force their own slave girls and even sometimes their own female family members into this nasty act. Why? so that they could make profit from it. The Quran wasn't afraid to intervene. It didn't say, this is a sensitive subject, Yar. We can't talk about this. We can't talk about it from the pulpit. We can't explain that these social ills exist within the society. People, they won't accept it. They won't come to your majlis. Do you think the Quran cared? Do you think the Prophet cared? Or did he see exploitation and women systematically being abused? Allah revealed the ayah and he worked so hard to intervene, even though it was the practice of the Arabs to be able to do this nasty act. The Prophet had to go around telling people, stop doing this. The Prophet had to intervene on this act. Think about this very carefully. When that intervention happened, whom do you think ran towards Islam because Islam stood up for them? The women of Arabia. In their thousands flocked to Islam because they understood that Islam was willing to intervene on things that were haram or things that were going against the rights and norms of society. We, however, were very afraid of that conversation. Evidence is provided to me. No, this is what we've been doing in our community for 100 years, for 50 years, for 20 years. I'm offering it in the way of Al-Hussein salamullahi alayh. The Quran was not afraid to raise these discussions. The ahadith were not afraid to raise difficult discussions. The imams were not afraid to tell people, I don't want this from you. It's not acceptable to us. Think about what you're doing. And the marajit themselves are not afraid to tell us when we are doing things that are not upholding the rights and responsibilities of Islam. Therefore, me and you shouldn't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of those conversations. Don't shun them. Don't go back into our shell just because we are being introduced to a different evidence or a different idea that we may not necessarily have come to see from before. This is the second element of this story. The third element of this story is this. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam pled with Ubaidullah ibn Hur. Do you remember early on in the story I mentioned? Imam says, you have committed so many sins. Don't you want to be forgiven for them? Do you remember that in the story? Imam said, this can wipe your sins. I'm not just offering you Jannah. I'm saying every crime that you have committed in the past, every sin that you have committed in the past is gone, is wiped. Ubaidullah ibn Hur was a well-known criminal. This is very important. What I mean by that is that this is not someone who was just committing sins ordinarily, like maybe we commit a sin. I'm not talking about sins in their normative sense. He was a criminal. He was a petty thief. He was known for him being a thief, known for him being a criminal. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam first sent his representative. When Ubaidullah rejected his representative, Imam himself went to go to that person. Mine and your, or at least my conception of religion, this religion is for me. This religion is for the mosques and the Husseyniyat. This movement of Hussein, I say it's for the world, but it's not really for everyone. Really, it's just for me so I can cry over it. So I can lament Hussein the way I want to lament him. Because if others start to come in and want to bring their own poetry, or bring their own understanding, or bring their own experience, then who are they to bring their understanding to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? This is just for me. It's for us Shia. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam went to the tent of a criminal and asked him to be on his side. It's normal that he would go to, let's say, someone from the opposition. You wrote to me. Don't you know who Yazid ibn Muawiyah is? No. He went to someone whom normally we don't bother with in society. We place them on the outside and we imagine them. We don't bother with these individuals. There are people who don't deserve our time. Islam doesn't really consider. No. What did I just show you from the Quran? People who are being prostituted out, the Quran addresses them. Don't think that there are elements of society that are not supposed to be within the camp of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. The other night, I think 2 nights ago, I mentioned in passing about what happened in Glastonbury a couple of days ago. This wonderful chant, death, death to the IDF, that was relayed amongst 200,000 individuals. Think about this very carefully. What did I say earlier? A man by the name of Muhammad bin Aziz bin whatever stood at the gates of the Rafah crossing. He reads the Quran, he reads the Salah. He may have gone on Hajj. He is doomed to failure. Whilst that white person begged and cried and said, please, these are your brothers in faith being bombed and starved to death, not mine. I don't believe in the Prophet. Please let me into the Rafah crossing. Let me go and deliver a little bit of aid to children. We think that those 200,000 people, yes, okay, haram. Definitely we can judge and criticize. They were enjoying a concert and drinking alcohol and doing other things. But don't for a second think that the camp of Hussein should not be extended to them and given an opportunity to come inside the camp. We say it, but we don't practice it. I'm going to mention something, if you allow, Sayyid. How many of us in these 10 nights have brought one non-Muslim friend to the Majlis of Al-Hussein? Hands up. Sayyid. I'm just looking around. I can't see the sisters because the glare of this light, it's blinding. But hands up, how many of us have brought one non-Muslim friend or one non-Shia friend to the Majlis, to the camp of Hussein? For the record, I can't see a single hand up. Isn't that a shame? So Hussein belongs just to be in you? No, I'm being serious. Hussein just belongs to you. You get to weep over him, huh? I get to recite the maqtal and then I go home and I think that I've done something in the name of Imam. He has the right to tell, that's not what I wanted from you. It's not what I asked from you. The bare minimum is just putting on black and coming to the Azhar. It's an hour of your time, 2 hours of your time, for maybe 11 or 12 nights in a year. Think about this very carefully, right now. Who are the open leaders of the Ummah? Whom? The Shia. That's not a sectarian statement. The entire Ummah is looking in envy at Iran. Never in the history of our era has anyone dared stand up against the great Satan of the time. No one. No one dares. Yeah, if they invade, then people fight back. Missiles were shot at their bases. The Ummah is in awe of the Shia and its leadership. And that's the communication, that's the conversation around the Ummah. Wouldn't it be nice to take advantage of this moment when the entirety of the ummah is looking at the Shia and saying, if you have any misunderstandings of whom we are, come to the Majlis of Hussein, see what makes us Husseini. See what made a man who is 83 years old and just has nothing more than these clothes and the simplest of house that he hasn't changed in 50 years. What makes him so dangerous and powerful that he can fire rockets at the United States of America. Don't you think now is the time? Now. Amir al-Mu'mineen says opportunities are like clouds. If you don't take advantage of them, they will leave you. You'll never see them again. You never see the same cloud again. Right now is the opportunity to bring people. Okay, they won't understand everything. Even the gham may scare them, I understand. The ma'tam may put them off, I understand. We can converse about those things before and after. But listen to the story of Hussein ibn Ali for yourself. Come inside the tent. If you decide to leave, that choice is yours. But don't not give them the opportunity to come. You have friends at work, curious. Why are you wearing black every day, brother? Where are you going every day, brother? I see something different about you in these days, brother, sister. You keep saying that you're going to a majlis. What's this majlis about? Don't you think now is the time to show the world who Imam al-Hussein is? Do you want them to talk about Hussein before you get to introduce al-Hussein alayhi salam? You want them to co-opt the narrative of whom al-Hussein is? Or you want to be in control of the narrative? The truth of this movement. Let's make a night. Friday night. You've got enough time. Message a friend tonight. Say, would you like to come? A Sunni friend. Doesn't have to be Friday night. But imagine on Friday night if all of us brought one friend. Can you imagine this place packed with brothers from the non-Shia community listening to the majlis of al-Hussein alayhi salam, hearing about Ali al-Akbar, hearing about Imam's tragedy, taking away something that they may never have known about Islam al-Haqiqi. My challenge to you is this. Whichever night, we still have a few more nights. And even if you can't bring someone in the next 3 nights, we have another 50 days of mourning of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Hussein doesn't belong to me and you. It's not ours to keep. The last point I'm going to make is this. Subhanallah. Imam said, I'm asking for your help. If you don't want to help me, then go as far away as possible, because if you hear my call and don't respond to it, that is the end of your akhirah. I want you to think about this point deeply. You know who responds immediately to the call of kufr and tughyan? The friends of kufr and tughyan. It's in their sunnah that the moment that they call for one another's help, they will rise up to assist one another. On day 2 of the illegal, illegitimate, maniacal, genocidal states, oppression and aggression against the Muslim Ummah, against Iran, on day 2, Pharaoh Netanyahu publicly called for help. And immediately its sugar daddy responded. It would have been very interesting, and it will happen. You have my word. There will come a time when it begs for the help of the West, but because of your voice and the voice of non-Muslims, the West will no longer be able to come to its aid. The same way it had to break from slavery, it had to give rights, civil rights, the suffragette movement. It had to break away from apartheid South Africa after being its absolute sponsors and creators. There will come a day very soon when they will beg the West, and the West will not come to support them, and that will be their downfall. But what did you see? After 2 days, the coward called for Trump's help. Trump and him created a little bit of a facade and said, let's have some negotiations, and then bombed Iran. Think about this very carefully. It is in their practice to immediately come to the help of one another. But the Muslims won't come to the help of other Muslims. But the Muslims won't come to the help of the Imam Ma'soom of their time when he calls, Hal min nasirin yansurna? And Ubaidullah offered a horse. They are willing to back each other up in kufr, in tughyan, in dhulm. But in iman and haqq, me and you are not willing to back up truth? No, it would never be like that, insha'Allah. The fourth lesson from Ubaidullah is that whilst they back each other up, even children are willing to back Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, youth. In that tent, when the Imam was calling, Hal min nasirin yansurna, Qasim ibn al-Hasan stood up and said, is my name written tomorrow? We are told that the Imam had been mentioning names of the shuhada. I want you to imagine that you are Qasim and you've just heard the names of others being read out. If Imam was reading out the names of the shuhada one by one, and Qasim was included, then definitely had he waited, Qasim's name would have been mentioned. Imam is reading out. He's saying, tomorrow you, Habib ibn Madhahir, will go. Tomorrow you, Ali al-Akbar, will go. Tomorrow you, Abu Fadil, will go. Imagine Imam might have even reached the name and said, my baby Asghar will go as well. When it would have reached such a name, you can imagine in Qasim's heart, his labbaik was so much on the tip of his tongue, he can't even wait for the names of the shuhada to be read out. Oh my uncle, is my name not on there? You have not read my name out yet? That you've already gone to all of these individuals. Imam looks at him and says to him, Oh Qasim, how do you see death? Look at the difference between Qasim's answer and Ubaidullah ibn Hurr. Ubaidullah said, I'm scared of death. I'm not willing to fight for you, O Hussein. Maybe a 13-year-old boy like Qasim responded by saying, it is sweeter than honey to me. I long for it. I crave it. I can't wait for it. Is my name mentioned? Imam al-Hussein responds by saying, indeed your name is mentioned. And then he turns towards Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam and says, no, that from the lineage of this 3-year-old boy will come the 12th Imam who will rise up and take vengeance for us. It was on the afternoon of the day of Ashura, in which the Imam had already given Aliun al-Akbar. The Maqtal says that Imam stood outside the tent and called out, Hal min nasirin yansurna? Who is going to come to our aid? Who will come to the aid of the women and the children and the haram of Rasulullah? If you hear this call, it is wajib for you to respond. Immediately Qasim came running to Imam al-Hussein. Oh uncle, it breaks me that you call for help. Let me be the one next to sacrifice myself. We are told in the Maqtal that Imam al-Hussein refused. Many a time he would refuse. He would say no, but he obstinately refused. How do I give away the son of my brother Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam? How do I allow this one who looks so much like his father, who reminds me of my brother, how can I allow the swords to come and reach his face? It is mentioned that he comes and throws himself at the hand of Imam. He kisses the hand of Imam al-Hussein, begging him. Imam takes away his hand. He throws himself to the feet of Imam. He kisses the feet of Imam. Please, this is how much I want to give myself in the way of your cause. Imam refuses. We are told by the Dhakireen that at this point, Qasim goes back inside the tent and goes to his mother, or maybe Sayyida Zainab alayha salam, and says, Hussein, my uncle is not giving me permission to go and fight. I have lost hope that he will allow me to go out and sacrifice myself. We are told that he is told that there is an armband around your arm. There is like a ta'weez around your arm. Open it. Inside there is a note from your father. Give it to you, Imam al-Hussein, and this will convince him. He gives the note to Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah opens it. He sees the writing of his brother. You can imagine, he must have smelt it. He must have got the fragrance of Jannah from it. He must have kissed it and put it to his eyes. His tears must have made it wet upon that note. What does it read? Oh Hussein, my brother, I will not be there to defend you on the 10th of Muharram, except Qasim as my sacrifice on your behalf. How can Hussein reject this plea from his brother Imam al-Hussein, Imam al-Hasan? Imam al-Hussein gives Qasim the permission to go into the battlefield. Imam begins to dress Qasim himself. He places a helmet upon the head, but this is a 13-year-old boy. The helmet is for the size of a man. He has to take it off, leaving his head exposed to the swords of Yazid's army. He then is handed a shield. I want you to imagine a shield that is so big. Can you imagine a man like Abu Fadl Abbas, the size of his shield? I want you to imagine him being handed over a shield like this. Qasim can barely lift it up. How are you going to swing a sword, O young Qasim? And then the Imam takes the turban of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam and wraps it tightly around the head of Qasim. Why tightly? Was it, Imam, that you hoped that when the sword was going to fall upon his head, that maybe the turban of al-Hasan would cushion the blade a little bit? What were you hoping for? Or did you want them, the enemies, to see this turban, to inspire Imam's son and allow Qasim to go out? As he went out, he introduced himself. They said, who is this? Is this another son of Hussein? We don't recognize this individual. What happened? It was Qasim that introduced himself. Ana Qasim ibn al-Hasan, Sibt al-Nabi. I am Qasim, the son of Hassan, the grandson of Rasulullah, and I have come here to defend Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, I want you to understand, how quick do you think Qasim was going to be struck? They surrounded him with people. They immediately swarmed upon him. If Qasim goes this way, then 100 swords are attacking him from the other side. Qasim is struck down. He falls towards the floor. He calls out, Adrikna ya Amma, come to my aid, oh my uncle. Do you know how much Imam al-Hussein loved Qasim? There is part of the Maqtal that says that when Qasim and Hussein bid farewell to each other for the last time, they collapsed in each other's arms. Imam al-Hussein fainted when Qasim was going to leave. If this is how much Hussein loved his nephew, can you imagine what happened to Hussein's heart when Qasim called out, Adrikna ya Amma, these are my last moments, come to my aid, oh my uncle. It is said that there was a number of attacks upon Qasim whilst he was on the ground. One Maqtal mentions that as Imam ran out, the enemies who were on the horse, they were being attacked by the Imam. As they fled and they turned one way and another, they trampled upon the broken body of Qasim ibn al-Hassan. The Maqtal says that when he was trampled, he was still alive. When the dust settled, Hussein looked on. He saw the broken body of Qasim kicking in pain on the grounds of Karbala. And then the kicking stopped. Imam al-Hussein could not do anything but call out, Oh Qasim, this is too difficult to bear. This is too much for Hussein to have seen you in this state.
شبر کی رو کر پکاری میرے بچے کی آتی ہے مہندی بے وشبر کی رو کر پکاری میرے بچے کی آتی ہے مہندی لوگ کرتے ہیں کیوں آہوزاری میرے قاسم کی آتی ہے مہندی کوئی دلہا کی پھوپھیوں کو لاؤ ان کی چھوٹی چچی کو بلاؤ گھر میں شادی کی رسمیں ہیں جاری میرے قاسم کی آتی ہے مہندی کوئی قبر حسن پہ یہ کہنا دیکھ تو جائیں بیٹے کا صحرا ارے ان کی فرقت میں آنسو ہیں جاری میرے قاسم کی آتی ہے مہندی میری بالی سکینہ کہاں ہو میری بالی سکینہ کہاں ہو کیوں نگاہوں سے اب تک نہاں ہو اور نیگ لے جاؤ زبانوں کی پیاری میرے قاسم کی آتی ہے مہندی جا کے شیر خدا کے ہے نوا سے کہہ دے دلہا کے چھوٹے چچا سے ارے گھر میں شادی کی رسمیں ہیں جاری میرے قاسم کی آتی ہے مہندی جا کے کہہ دو یہ شاہ زمن سے کوئی صغرا کو لائے وطن سے جا کے کہہ دو یہ شاہ زمن سے کوئی صغرا کو لائے وطن سے ارے جائیں اکبر جائیں اکبر منگائیں سواری میرے قاسم کی آتی ہے مہندی یا حسین 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 حیا علی خیر العمل حیا علی خیر العمل یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی نام مولا پڑھتے آؤ شاباش ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی رواوے قاسم دی مہندی کبرا دا بابا چادر بچھا کے کبرا دا بابا چادر بچھا کے چن چن کے پاوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ہائے ہائے حسین یا حسین اللہم جل ولیک الفرج بآواز بلند پڑھو ریتاں چ ڈل گئے ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے مقتل چوں سید بہن پایا کلا نانا زہرا دا جایا مقتل چوں سید بہن پایا کلا نانا زہرا دا جایا کوثر کنارے میرے ٹر گئے سارے کوثر کنارے میرے ٹر گے سارے کیڑا اٹھاوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتا چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی ماں نوں رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ہائے حسین یا حسین ریتاں چ ڈل گئی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے ماں نوں رواوے کچھ مہندی گھوڑے سما چ لے گئے کچھ اے دے ٹکڑے مقتل چ رہ گئے سید مسافر قاسم دی ماں تو کیویں لکاوے یا زہرا ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے ماں نوں رواوے قاسم دی مہندی کچھ مہندی گھوڑے سما چ لے گئے کچھ اے دے ٹکڑے مقتل چ رہ گئے سید مسافر قاسم دی ماں تو سید مسافر قاسم دی ماں تو کیویں لکاوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی ماں نوں رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی ماں نوں رواوے شاباش شاباش پڑھتے آؤ ریتاں چ ڈل گئے خیام اندر جدو مہندی آئی بنڑے دی ماں نے سر خاک پائی بنڑی دا بابا بھیڑی بلا کے رو رو وکھاوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے ماں نوں رواوے قاسم دی مہندی خیام اندر جدو مہندی آئی بنڑے دی ماں نے سر خاک پائی بنڑی دا بابا بھیڑی بلا کے بنڑی دا بابا بھیڑی بلا کے رو رو وکھاوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی ماں نوں رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی ماں نوں رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی اجرکم الزہرا ریتاں چ ڈل گئے دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے سنو مصائب کا شعر سنو کہ پہرا لگا تھا دریا پہ ہر جا پیاسا تھا کنبا پانی نہیں تھا پانی کے بدلے اشکوں سے گوندی مادر نے کھائے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے ماں نوں رواوے قاسم دی مہندی پہرا لگا تھا دریا پہ خرجا پیاسا تھا کنبا پانی نہیں تھا پہرا لگا تھا دریا پہ خرجا پیاسا تھا کنبا پانی نہیں تھا پانی کے بدلے اشکوں سے گوندی مادر نے گائے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی جیو مولا کا ماتمی خیر ہوئے پڑھتے آؤ ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے ہائے فروا کے آنسو دیں گے ضمانت پوری نہ ہوگی کس طرح منت کبرا کے صدقے جب کوئی بیٹی کبرا کے صدقے جب کوئی بیٹی جب بھی اٹھائے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی فروا کے آنسو دیں گے ضمانت پوری نہ ہوگی کس طرح منت فروا کے آنسو دیں گے ضمانت پوری نہ ہوگی کس طرح منت کبرا کے صدقے جب کوئی بیٹھی جب بھی اٹھائے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے ریتاں چ ڈل گئے نام مولا پڑھتے آؤ مولا پرسا قبول فرمائے تمہارا اگلے سال وہی ماتم کرے گا جو ہوگا ریتاں چ ڈل گئے کچھ مہندی گھوڑے سماچ لے گئے کچھ دے ٹکڑے مقتل چ رہ گئے کچھ مہندی گھوڑے سماچ لے گئے کچھ دے ٹکڑے مقتل چ رہ گئے سید مسافر قاسم دی ماتوں سید مسافر قاسم دی ماتوں کیویں لکاوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئے ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے ریتاں چ ڈل گئے مٹیاں چ رل گئے مقتل چو سید وین پایا کلا نانا زہرا دا جایا مقتل چو سید وین پایا کلا نانا زہرا دا جایا کوثر کا نعرے میرے ٹر گے سارے کوثر کا نعرے میرے ٹر گے سارے کیڑا اٹھائے قاسم دی مہندی ریتاں چ ڈل گئی مٹیاں چ رل گئی مانو رواوے قاسم دی مہندی پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات
Brothers and sisters, it's time for Azan. Inshallah, we will continue the program with namaz. I'd like to invite Brother Ali to come forward and deliver the Azan. Salawat.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما